Mason Worley.
And I'm Wyatt, and we made a presentation on the history of the Bay Area. About 335 million years ago, there was a continent called Pangaea. Pangaea was a continent with all the continents that we know today attached together. About 200 million years ago, the continent started to break apart into pieces that are the continents that we now know today. A little bit later after that, when North America arrived in the place it's in today, magma came up out of the Earth's crust, and granite formed on the coast side of California. Next, subduction accreted, adding more land to Western California. This is the process of creating more land by adding layers. This might be confusing to some people because a lot of people do not know what subduction and accretion are. Subduction is the sideways and downward movement of the edge of a plate of the Earth's crust that goes into the mantle beneath another plate. Accretion is the process of increasing size through gradually attaining resources. About 28 million years ago, the San Andreas Fault was formed near the bottom of California. A fault is basically a crack in the Earth's crust. Faults are formed when plates move and sometimes rocks break from the stress that the plate movement causes. Then, on April 18, 1906, the San Andreas Fault appeared in San Francisco, causing a devastating earthquake.
Not only did we learn a lot of history during our class, we also went on many field trips and saw many rocks in the bay. We took many field trips in the past 3 weeks to identify rocks. We visited many places, including Point Bonita, the Marin Headlands, Fort Mason, and Point Reyes. At Point Bonita, we discovered pillow basalt. Pillow basalt is shaped like rock pillows. It is gray and has very small white veins. Our next stop was at the Marin Headlands, where we found chert. Chert is a sedimentary rock that is reddish brown and has no crystals. Then we went to Marshall Beach and found serpentine. Serpentine is a metamorphic rock that is dusky green. It has veins that cross over one another and is waxy. The other rock that we saw at Marshall Beach was graywacky, which is a sedimentary rock that is dark greenish gray and has a coarse texture. We also went to Fort Mason, which is known for its graywacky layers. Another place that we visited was Billy Goat Hill. There we saw graywacky, chert, and serpentine. When we went on an overnight trip to Point Reyes, we saw many rocks. On the way to our hostel, we stopped at Nicasio Reservoir and saw a wall of basalt and the melange. The melange is a mixture of big rocks in San Francisco that consists of many different terrains. Later during our trip to Point Reyes, we went down to Kehoe Beach and saw more rocks. The rocks we saw at Kehoe Beach were shale and granodiorite. Shale is a fine-grained sedimentary rock that has layers less than 1 centimeter thick. Granodiorite is an intrusive igneous rock that is easily recognized by the big crystals. Our last field trip was to the Twin Peaks to see more chert.
Lastly, we are going to talk about the cross-section that we created of San Francisco. Basically, a cross-section is cutting a map in half or diagonally and looking at the layers of rock inside of it. This is the cross-section that we created. So we had this map and we cut a line along San Francisco that went along 5 sections of terrain. Each terrain was on a different dip. Most go northwest, northeast, but at the far northeast corner of San Francisco, the dip goes south, which makes a 0.5 a fold point. Each of the points are composed of a different type of rock, which were Greywacke, Serpentine, and a Mélange, which is a mix of chert and Greywacke. They are composed of different type of rock because they're in different areas that have different types of rocks that were formed from trenches and subduction. Some of the landmarks that are near these points are the SF City College, which is near point 2, which is right here, and Lake Merced, which was to the left of point 1, the New Mint, which is where we saw Serpentine, which is a little bit, it's basically right next to the point, and the Presidio and Nob Hill,